Hello everyone, if you do not know who I am, my name is Paradoxical Intention, but y'all call me Paradoxy, and welcome to Belladonna. This is an interesting point-and-click adventure game. It's very text-heavy from what I remember. I tried to record this previously and there was a bit of an audio issue, but I'm hoping that this time I can do it and it will be much, much better. So let's start a new game.
Sensation. Pain? I'm alive? That's odd. I don't feel alive. What's going on? I have no memories of anything before this point in time. My mind is Tabula Rasa, yet I have a language. I seem to be in some laboratory of sorts. Maybe I can find out what happened if I look around.
Okay, so now we're in the game proper. That cutscene, my frame rate dropped heavily for that cutscene, but it was still really nice, I guess. So we're playing as this lady, and we're in a laboratory. We don't have any memories, but we understand language, obviously, so that's interesting. Stretcher.
My very first memory is waking up on this thing. Before that, nothing. I wonder what I am.
Well, you have very cute shoes, if anything. That's always important.
A torture device turned into a strange machine. What kind of place is this?
Bookshelf? I know that there's a sparkly thing, but I don't want to look at that right now.
Books. A lot of natural philosophy and chemistry. Something by an M.W. Shelley.
Frankenstein reference. Toolbox?
There's a screwdriver in this toolbox. Better take it.
Look at all these weird drawers. I actually really like that drawer scheme. It's very interesting because then, this could be a place for, a small shelf, and then this could be, for bigger tools, and in theory, it could be very useful. Brain in a jar.
It's a brain in a jar.
Whoa.
I wonder what it's thinking.
Probably nothing. Gargoyle?
That is one ugly gargoyle. Looks like a George to me.
Okay, so George the gargoyle.
I have no idea what's inside of this, but it glows.
Ooh, scary. Magnet?
I love magnets. It looks like the legs of a frog hooked up with wires. And I'm pretty sure it moves when I'm not watching.
Squeaky. Switch.
Now is not the time.
Oh, so we shouldn't be messing with things. Let's look at the journal page. I think that's the last thing.
There's a handwritten note here. Maybe it can shed some light on my situation.
Wolfram von Trauerschloss. That's okay. It is with shaking hands and heavy heartbeats I gather before me the instruments of my last desperate attempt. I find myself on the threshold of my toils, a turning point, for should I fail tonight, I doubt I shall find the strength and resolve to continue. At my feet now lays the lifeless remains of my beautiful Belladonna. A few hours ago my wife was alive and well, and now she has been cut open, dissected, altered, and artificially reconstructed. From the second she gave up her final breath, I have worked tirelessly to preserve and prepare her corpus, that I might infuse a spark of being back into her lifeless limbs. This is the final test of all my research and experimentation the past 5 years, the complete revivification of a human being, body and soul. The anxiety I feel is agonizing, but I cannot let it hinder me from carrying out what I must do. For my own sake and for hers, this procedure must not fail. In my feverish dreams, my wife appears as such a lovely creature, so far removed from this creation before me. Her cheeks, once so full of laughter, are now pale almost to the point of transparency, with the skin stretched so thin over the cranium it threatens to rip at any moment. Her eyes would shine like the night sky, but are now empty, watery, and yellowish. I have to cling to my conviction that she will regain her former grace and vitality once she is brought back to the realm of the living. Her eyes will light up with the flame of life, a Promethean flame stolen from the very gods. From this night on, man shall be the master of his own destiny, and God shall no longer be above us. As I write, the engines of life are finally heating up, the last of the preparations coming into order. The crucial moment is ever approaching. The time has come. Success! The attempt was a success! She's alive! That's interesting. I'm guessing this is where we're going to keep all of our journals then, in this book here. Okay. So like I said, this is a very text-heavy kind of game. It's a point-and-click adventure, but I really like the artwork. It's so pretty, but also very ethereal and kind of creepy, which I like. I like this.
The door won't budge. It seems to be barred from the other side. I might be able to unscrew these hinges, though.
Well, we do have a screwdriver, so unscrew the hinges.
The screws on these hinges are rusty and stuck. I need some lubricant to loosen them up. With such a multitude of jars and bottles, at least one must have some sort of oil in it.
Vial of oil. Okay.
This oil looks expensive. Let's waste it.
I really like you, small mechanical child.
I smeared some oil on the rusty screws. That should loosen them up.
Well, technically, I don't think she's a child.
I'm free.
But yeah. Let's leave. It's another journal page, but let's look at everything else.
What a dedicated knight to guard a damp dungeon like this. Maybe he was demoted. Maybe he likes the dark. Maybe he's secretly a poet. I bet his name is Roland.
I like that she's kind of humanizing things and just sort of walking around and giving names to things and like talking about their backstories even.
There's a long stick here. Perhaps it was used to try to chase away rats when trying to sleep.
More books.
It looks like someone has been sleeping quite a lot in this sorry excuse for a bed, and it was hardly the suit of armor. But why would someone choose to sleep down here?
I don't know. Let's go back down with Roland and read this journal page.
Another piece of paper. This was written long before the last one.
Wolfram von Scharschloss. Work is going great. Kept a rat alive for 1 hour and 26 minutes last night. We'll move on to larger mammals within the week. I find my life more and more polarized into two phases. I remember times when I used to climb up and down the stairs like a squirrel each day, but now I spend most of my time, and indeed most of my thoughts, down here in my laboratory, only to step upstairs at night to sleep. It is warmer upstairs in the living area, but it is boring and understimulating. Down here is where I make progress. Down here is what matters. And as I lay awake, besides my sleeping wife, I often wish I was down here with my experiments. Belladonna grows increasingly distant. Ever since that fateful night when our baby Lucas gave up his last breath, she has lost all traces of her old self. God knows what she is thinking about, and she silently gazes into the empty air, restlessly paces back and forth in the great hall. I, at least, am working with my grief. I have turned my attention to the science of life and death, and not a day goes by I do not think of how my son was untimely taken from me. This is the thought that drives me, and this the greatest of ambitions. My own son will never return, I have accepted that now. But thanks to me and my work, the cold, ruthless contrast between living and dead will be in the future much softer, maybe even completely erased. My wife, though, has let our grief devour her whole. She's emotionally and intellectually paralyzed, it seems to me. All her creativity and quickness of thought, the wittiness of her speech, and the nimble way she used to jump from one conclusion to the next, all those qualities that made me fall in love with her in the first place, they've all been snuffed out like the flame of a candle. This makes me wonder even more why I bother to go up to her bed every night. The shell in which she enclosed herself cannot be breached by anything I say or do. It is almost as though she is involved with someone other than me. I feel ridiculous for even writing it down. No. It seems ludicrous to think that Belladonna's disinterest in me is due to her seeing another man. I will not accuse her of that. It is just one of many strange ideas that seem to appear in my head when I am down here by myself. I'm probably just tired. I better try and get some sleep as soon as this rat's heart stops beating. Wow! That's really a dick thing to say. Oh, my wife isn't the same after our son died, but I'm working through it, and I just don't understand why she's not. What a dick. Her feet aren't really touching the steps.
More writings from the lonely doctor.
Curse my miserable existence, the hopelessness from which I see no conceivable escape. I cannot rid myself of the feeling that there is something of utmost importance that I need to take care of, but that it is not yet time. That something beyond my control needs to be completed first. I carry inside me a sensation of waiting, yet I cannot name the thing I am waiting for. In the meantime, all I can do is work. I do make progress, but at an excruciatingly slow rate, and nothing I accomplish seems to calm the anxiety in my head. I sleep only for a few hours every night and cannot remember my last hot meal. I am feverish and jump at the smallest of sounds. What is it that I am missing? I am spending more and more time down here with my research. I only occasionally go upstairs to sleep in the master bedroom. Most nights I sleep, if at all, in a makeshift bunk that I've constructed in the cellar. It is not as comfortable, but my research is at a point where it oftentimes requires my constant attention, and comfort is not my priority. I am certain I am advancing ever closer to a sufficient breakthrough, but it is as though I am powerless to control or even affect the rate of its occurrence. And on top of this, I cannot rid my mind of the idea that Belladonna has forgotten me and taken a new lover, a new man in her life, someone more lively than me, perhaps, someone who can still look at life with joy and optimism to match her own, by grave tragedy, unaffected humor. Yet, who would that be? I can remember friends we used to have. In my memory, our wedding was a crowded and festive event, but it has been years since this castle has seen any visitors. I have no time for social obligations, and Belladonna seems to have given up on everything that is pleasant in life. I suspect the castle is in an undesirable condition as well. Almost all the staff has left us. We're down to one girl who dusts the cupboards and lights the fireplaces, but I don't see much of her either in these days. For all I know, she might be gone as well. There cannot possibly be a man in Belladonna's life apart from me. Honestly, I shouldn't have called that guy a dick. That's pretty not fair, and I apologize. He is a jerk, though.
Another locked door. Let's take a peek through.
The key. Magnet? Stick?
Look, I can attach the magnet to the end of this stick.
Okay.
Another locked door.
Are you she's floating. Let's use the magnet to get the
Let's
key.
hope this works. Haha.
Just planned.
I got the basement key.
But yeah, she's floating right here. Well, she doesn't interact well with the environments, I guess, but it's still really nice. So that's where the key was.
This is the nail from which I skillfully lifted the basement key. More letters. Has he figured it out yet?
I see now that my suspicions have been well grounded, albeit aimed in the wrong direction. Belladonna is not seeing another man. She's seeing a woman. Oh, snap! I am convinced that it must be that maid Claire, or whatever her name might be. She and Belladonna are up to something, I'm sure of it. And to think of all the hours I'm stuck down here, caught up in my dreadful work, leaving them free to roam and left to their own devices upstairs. Of course they have found each other, only living things in this whole castle besides me and my week-long rabbits. They have it all figured out. When I come up at night, they act all innocent, keeping their mutual secret from me as a playful game. But as soon as I descend into the laboratory, they're in each other's arms again. But what can I do? The progression of events are beyond my control, just like my work. I slave away in my ghoulish endeavor, making progress every hour, but never getting anywhere, and simultaneously Belladonna is slipping away from me, further and further for every night, and yet nothing ever changes. Should I confront them? Storm up there, hoping to catch the two in the act? Take back the life that was mine? The wife that was mine? No. I have no reason for my silly suspicions. No evidence whatsoever. Merely a thought stuck in my brain, refusing to leave. So I remain passive, as always, and each new day is one more where I am unable to make an action, unable to change my wretched situation. Okay, You have no one but yourself to blame for this, as far as I'm concerned, sir. You did this to yourself. You blame your wife for not getting over the death of your son and acting like, oh, well, I'm working through my grief at least. And meanwhile, she's up there by herself while you're in the lab day in and day out, and you never think to yourself once, hey, maybe I should go and comfort my wife who's obviously grieving. Instead, no, you're just like, no, I'm just going to work all the time, and it's her fault for going after another lover, someone who obviously cares about her and is willing to be there for her, instead of, hey, I'm working too much, maybe I should be comforting my wife instead of blaming her for not immediately dropping everything to work through her grief. You are a jerk! Jeez! Okay, let's look at other stuff. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee real quick, actually. Real quick. Coffee. And look through this.
There are some minuscule inscriptions on the wall here.
Cogwheels?
A couple of cogwheels on the floor. They must have fallen off the mechanism when the door slammed shut. I wonder if I can put them back.
Okay, so now I have some cogs, and I am going to leave this episode here. In the meantime, I will see you all later. So, and then have fun, good game, and bye!